You could say whatever you want, bro. 1.3 million people watch Raw, Chris. And the Monday Night Football game, both teams were out of it. They were both, Dallas and Cincinnati are both out of it. Yeah. 1.3 million people. You're going to sit there and Triple H is going to say today this is bigger than the Attitude Era? If the Attitude Era was drawing 1.3 million people, I would have been fired from my job.
Ladies and gentlemen, that does not go to Vince Russo. That's the soundbite next to the normal one, but we're going to roll with that. What would you?
I do that all the time, man. I do that all the time. I hit the wrong buttons on here all the time.
What's the biggest boo? What's the biggest? Let's make this a Bob Ross happy accident, Vince. What's the biggest boo of professional wrestling that you can pinpoint right now? The biggest one. I know that you got a lot of boos, but in your opinion, what's the biggest boo in professional wrestling right now?
So are you asking who gets the most heat?
Nope. Like the worst thing, the biggest. The
worst thing in wrestling right now. Yeah. God, there are so many, man. There are just so many.
What's the biggest boo?
You think you know all the wrestling stories? There's more you haven't heard yet. Join us on Backstage Pass.
God, if I had to pick one, bro, honestly, I would probably say Judgment Day.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Like what a waste. Like just who cares about these people, man?
Yeah. Are they redeemable at all, Vince, in your opinion?
Chris, I got to tell you something. Everybody can be saved. It's never, ever too late. It really isn't, man. So, yes, they are redeemable. Absolutely, yes.
What would it take? WWE employs Vince Russo to take the book, and you have a solo project. Vince, we know that the Judgment Day project has not been going the way that we wanted it to go. We want to bring you in to cause that shock and awe and excitement. We want you to specifically do the Judgment Day. That is your baby. That's your project. We want to redeem this project that we started with Edge, and then Edge got kicked out. And we tried a couple other variations of who's the leader. Is it Priest? Is it Finn? What do we do with the Judgment Day to make them redeemable and Raw?
Well, the first thing is you're not keeping them together. I mean, that's absolutely number one. You are not keeping them together. Finn Balor's got to become the Demon. You have to start from square one with R.D. McDonough because he means absolutely nothing. Yeah. So you've got to give him a character and you've got to give him a storyline. Yeah. So that's where I would start, bro. You got to break him up. You got to go back to the Demon. You got to start from square one with R.D. McDonough.
What do you do with him? What makes him? What's going to make him a sellable solo character on Raw?
Bro, I would have to know more about the guy on a personal level, and I know nothing about him. Outside of being Finn Balor's boy, I know nothing about him, so I would really have to, do my research, do my homework, spend hours with him, interview him. Without that process, I don't know, bro, because they have not told us anything about this guy, so I have no clue.
So your idea of breaking up the Judgment Day looks like what? How do they dissolve from where they are right now?
Jeez, bro, I swear I would almost do what if you remember, didn't Bray Wyatt's Funhouse eventually get set on fire?
That was during his
set the playground there on fire.
Well,
literally,
it was a shack or something like that that got
set this thing on fire. Somebody totally destroy the clubhouse, destroy the house, start there, totally burn that thing down.
Who is that? Is that a does the Wyatt Six feud with the Judgment Day and on their road to dissolving the group altogether?
I don't know about that, bro, because somebody's got to come out of this a babyface. You know what I mean? And maybe it is Finn as the demon. So if you got you got to break them up, bro. You got to break them up. So like maybe it's a mystery surrounding who burnt it down, but the burning down of it represents the burning down of the group. And maybe they decide going their separate ways is the best bet, something like that. But you've got to, I would not want to keep them together as a group where they turn babyface. Nobody cares about them. Nobody's going to care about them as a group. You got to break them down individually.
Yeah, that's interesting. Let's kind of go further into this. So, at the end of the day, one of them come out as the babyface, perhaps Finn as the demon. Somebody burns the clubhouse down. Is it someone from within, or is it someone that's outside of the Judgment Day?
Maybe it's someone from within, bro. Maybe it's Carlito. Maybe it's Carlito who didn't want anything to do with this in the first place. He, like the audience, I never understood why I was put in this group. I mean, it could be, Carlito's story could be somewhat of a real story, because we were all asking, why in God's name did they throw this guy in this group? He does not believe in this group. Belong in this group. This guy was at one time a bona fide star. He still has charisma.
Yeah,
totally. Anybody could be in that Carlito spot. He's totally being wasted.
So essentially, that could lead to Carlito versus Demon Finn at WrestleMania.
It could, yeah, absolutely, and that's not bad. And that's not bad if you rebuild the both of them.
Yeah, on paper. That doesn't sound bad at all. I mean, that sounds interesting. I mean, if the story backs that up, on paper, that sounds great. I mean, both of them are very notable characters, notable names.
And then, bro, maybe you go with Dominic and Liv, and then maybe you go with some kind of an alliance with JD McDonough and Rodriguez. Maybe that's where you go.
Like a mixed tag, or
Yep, and maybe that's how you can build both of them. I mean, Rodriguez and McDonough both need building badly. Bro, I hate when we throw characters on TV just for the sake of throwing characters, because anybody could be in that spot. Anybody could. That's how you know when somebody's not over. When anybody can be in that spot, they're not over. I mean, think about somebody filling the shoes of Austin or filling the shoes of The Rock. Never in a million years. But there are so many people in the WWE that if you replace them with somebody else, it would not matter.
Yeah. Do you think the only way that Finn would be redeemable is if he does turn into a babyface and eventually Demon Finn?
I do. Bro, he's too small. I'm sorry, bro. I'm not saying the guy's not a great worker. I'm not saying that. You guys know I speak for the casual fan, and he is too small to be believable. Okay, I think what's he got the match with Damian Priest and Gunther. Yeah. I mean, come on, why is he even in that?
When it comes to that dynamic, we've talked about this before. When it comes to small heels, you gotta play as if you have a Napoleon complex. I mean, you have to play that type of ego. You know what I mean? Yep. That makes sense for a heel to if a small person is a heel, you got to give me Napoleon complex. You can't give me someone who can go blow for blow with someone bigger than them. I mean, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Visually, it just doesn't make sense. But if you have someone with the Napoleon complex and they get a heavy, or if they're really slimy, if they're very Machiavellian, so to speak, when it comes to really trying to defeat someone, feeling like they're greater than someone, but they have a sense of controlling someone out of their insecurities for being their size. You know what I mean? Having that type of group or having that type of mind control over people. A lot of cult leaders, they have that type of complex. They're smaller, but at the same time, they have that mind control over people. Something like that would happen. If Judgment Day was more like a cult-like faction, and Finn played into that, I'm going to control this group because I have personal insecurities. I have a Napoleon complex. I think it could have been a lot better, but I think what really hurt them was when Edge left, it was there's no leader. I mean, like every faction needs a leader, man.
Bro, it was the same thing with Bloodline. When the stars leave, it doesn't mean anything. That's you really kill a faction when the stars leave, and that's what happened. And a lot of people say to me, "Oh yeah, Vince, what about Shawn and Brett?" Okay, let's talk about Shawn and Brett. First of all, Shawn and Brett were a lot bigger than Finn Balor, a lot bigger. Second of all, didn't Shawn get Diesel as a bodyguard?
Exactly, that was just heavy.
Third of all, wasn't Bret Hart with the Hart Foundation?
Yes.
And he had his brother-in-laws, and he had Pillman. What weren't they around? Okay,
he was that mind control type of because Bulldog wasn't he wasn't Canadian. Pillman wasn't Canadian. You know what I mean? But the very fact that you had two non-Canadians, Neidhart, Jim Neidhart, he wasn't Canadian. So you had 5 people in the group. What you had Brett, you had Owen, you had Bulldog, and Pillman, right? Yeah. So you had 2 out of the 5 people in a Canadian sympathizing group were actually Canadians.
Right.
So you had to basically convince 3 people, non-Canadians, to sympathize with Canada,
right,
against America.
Right.
And that's a really cool mind. See, Brett was the mind control type of cultish mentality that America's no good for you. You know, Bulldog was European. You know, I want you to sympathize with Canada because these Americans, you know, they're no good for you. So let's all band together, Canada, United States, and Europe, in the name of going against these nasty, grimy, heartless, you know, non-sympathetic, you know, dog eat dog, discard you when they don't leave you, nasty Americans. And that's the type of mind control that works with those type of heels.
Yeah, and even bro, when they come up with, you know, Judgment Day, what does that even mean? Now, what that should have been is, bro, if you want to do Judgment Day and you want to do it right, first of all, it's got to be a group of people that you believe in, that really puts fear into you, that really have heat. Second of all, you got to build towards Judgment Day. There's an angle with a group, and now next week is your Judgment Day. And on Judgment Day, and on the Judgment Day, that group gets annihilated. What do you got, bro? You got Judgment Day in a clubhouse playing darts.
Yeah.
That's what, like, how do we even get to that? Like, how does that get to that, man?
What's apocalyptic about playing in a clubhouse, playing video games in a
Exactly, man. That's what I'm saying, Chris. That's why
it's some type of doomsday apocalyptic, you know, gimmick with this Judgment Day moniker.
People that are so entrenched in the wrestling bubble have no idea how a casual fan looks at this stuff. And somebody just tweeted me, bro. You could say whatever you want, bro. 1.3 million people watch Raw, Chris. And the Monday Night Football game, both teams were out of it. They were both, Dallas and Cincinnati are both out of it. Yeah. 1.3 million people. You're going to sit there and Triple H is going to say today this is bigger than the Attitude Era? If the Attitude Era was drawing 1.3 million people, I would have been fired from my job.
I guess that falls in line of ratings not really mattering anymore when they're making these big money deals. How do you integrate the fact that they're having all these international deals and these business deals that are making them more money hand over fist than the Attitude Era?
Because, Chris, what's going to happen is the same thing that happened with Fox. That's what's going to happen, because people can talk all day about ratings don't matter. talk to the networks about that. Go have a conversation with USA Network about ratings not mattering and all the money they're paying. Go have a conversation with TBS and TNT about Rampage drawing 177,000 people. Go have a conversation with them and let those networks tell you that numbers don't matter, because we saw what happened with Fox. Everybody seems to sweep that under the rug. All the promises they made with Fox and all these numbers they were going to achieve, and they fell far, far short. Same thing is going to happen. The problem is, Chris, there's always, what was it, W.C. Fields? There's a sucker born every day. There's always going to be somebody else, bro, to give them that next contract. That's the reality of the situation.
P.T. Barnum is who you're thinking of.
Was it P.T. Barnum? Did he say that?
He was accredited for saying it, but it was actually Mandela effect. It was actually someone else who said it.
Because I think W.C. Fields, I think he said that in one of his movies, I believe, because he was he was always playing cards and he was always swindling people in card games. I could have sworn he said that.
He could have. I mean, he could have, but yeah, it's falsely attributed to P.T. Barnum.